Today we study about heredity and evolution. Now in the chapter of how do organisms reproduce, we have already studied that during the process of reproduction, the organisms produced are similar to the parents. So there is some information that is transferred from parents to offspring, and that information is transferred in the form of chromosomes. So chromosomes are cell organelles which are responsible to transfer information from one generation to the other in the form of DNA is already studied in the chapter of how do organisms reproduce. Keeping this background in mind, today we will study about heredity and evolution. Heredity is the study of how the transfer of characters going to take place from one generation to the other. So we say heredity is the process in which characters are transferred from one generation to another. Now what do we understand by the term character? Character is a feature that is visible. In plants, let us consider the shape of the leaves. So the shape of the leaves is different in mango, it is different in papayas, it is different in banana. So that becomes a character that is visible in terms of shape of leaves. Similarly, color of flowers are different. So that is also another character. Height of the plant is another character. So these are characters that are transferred from one generation to the other, and the study of this transfer or the process in which they are transferred is what we call as heredity. And the organelles responsible for heredity are chromosomes, which are packed in the nucleus in the form of thread-like structures is already studied. We already know that chromosomes are made of DNA molecule, a single DNA molecule, and it is made of proteins. Now we have studied in the chapter of how do organisms reproduce that just before cell division, the number of chromosomes will double. So that is what we call as the duplication of chromosomes. So if there are 4 chromosomes, the number of chromosomes will become 8. So the duplication of chromosomes will take place, and then half the number of the chromosomes will be transferred to the daughter cell and the remaining will be retained by the parent cell. As a result, the information that is transferred from the parent cell to the daughter cell becomes identical, and therefore the body design remains same. Now during that process, the DNA molecule is going to make another copy of itself, and this DNA molecule contains information to make a particular protein. We have already said that during DNA duplication, there can arise some small changes, and these small changes are what we call as variations. These variations are very useful for the organism to survive in a changing ecosystem. Because the ecosystem is changing, we have to have an inbuilt tendency to adapt to this ecosystem where the variations will be very helpful. Over a period of time, these variations will accumulate and they will give rise to a new character. And that will in turn give rise to a new species. So there will be evolution of life. So from primitive life forms, we will get the more advanced or more complex life forms on the surface of the earth. The study of this generation of diversity by natural selection is what is called as evolution. So in this chapter, we are studying heredity, that is the process in which the characters are transferred, how they are transferred, and the evolution of life. From where life originated on the surface of the earth, how it originated, and today we have the more complex forms on the life on the surface of the earth. So from where they originated and what is the theory behind it is studied in this particular chapter. Now let us come to a certain term that we are going to use often in this particular chapter. And that term that we are using very commonly is called as trait. Trait is also called as character. And just now I have told that it is a visible feature in an organism, like the shape of the nose, the color of the eyes, the height of the individual. All these are traits. Now this trait in an individual is controlled by a segment of DNA which is called as gene. So let us understand that the chromosomes, which are thread-like structures, are made of DNA molecules, and a small segment of DNA molecule is what we call as a gene. So gene is a section of DNA, and this gene contains information for making a particular protein. So depending on information that is coded in this particular gene, accordingly the protein will be produced, and accordingly we will see that particular trait. To understand this, let us take example of height of the plant. If we consider the height of the plant, then height is a trait, and we could have two types of individuals, those which are tall and those which are short. So these become the two contrasting characters when it comes to this particular trait. Now the height of the individual, whether he is going to be tall or he is going to be short, is going to be coded in that particular gene. And depending on that, the growth hormone will be produced in the plant. And this growth hormone will then cause cell elongation, and it will make the plant tall. But if that information is missing in that particular gene, in that particular segment of DNA, then the hormone will not be produced in adequate amounts and the plant will be short. So all this information about what color of the flower is there is stored in this segment of DNA, which we call as gene. We should also remember that a pair of gene will control the trait. Now what is meant by pair of gene? We have studied in the chapter of how do organisms reproduce that in sexually reproducing organisms, during fertilization there is fusion of male gamete and female gamete, and that process of fusion of the male and female gamete to form zygote is what we call as fertilization. Now we have said that these gametes are specialized cells. Specialized because they contain only half the number of chromosomes that are present in the body cell of an organism. In human beings, there are 46 chromosomes in all our body cells. All body cells will have 46 chromosomes. But in gametes of human beings, there will be only 23 chromosomes, not 23 pairs. 23 chromosomes will be there. So gametes will have only half the number of chromosomes, and its importance is also studied in the chapter of how do organisms reproduce. And that is because when these two gametes fuse, it will form zygote where the chromosome number will be restored. So in human beings, if each gamete has 23 chromosomes, then the zygote will have 46 chromosomes, and that is the chromosome number of the species of human beings. So that means this individual will receive equal amount of chromosome, equal amount of DNA from both parents. And hence we will have two chromosomes which will control a particular trait. One is called as the maternal copy and the other is called as the paternal copy. That means the chromosome that is coming from the female gamete is called as the maternal copy, and the chromosome that is coming from the male gamete is called as the paternal copy. Now these chromosomes are called as homologous chromosomes because they have information to produce a particular protein for the same trait. Meaning, if we are considering height of the individual, then this pair of gene that is coming from each of this chromosome will control the height of the individual. And depending on the information on this pair of gene, the hormone produced will become more and the plant will be tall, or if it is less, then it will be short. So we have to know this term called as inherited trait. Inherited trait means a trait that is transferred to the offspring, transferred to the progeny from the parents, from the previous generation. And height is such a trait which is transferred from one generation to the other. So during its lifetime, the individual cannot change its height. It will all depend on what information is there in the gene. So in sexually reproducing organism, each individual will receive equal number of chromosomes from each parent. So when the gametes fuse to form the zygote, it will receive equal number of chromosomes from the mother, which we call it the maternal copy, and from the father, which is called as the paternal copy. So each trait is going to be inherited from its parent, and the influence will be seen in the progeny. Let us consider now a homologous chromosome. This is the maternal copy and this is the paternal copy. This is the gene that will control height. Now, in both the chromosomes, the information that is present on this gene is for tallness. So, since it is same on both the genes, the maternal and the paternal copy, the plant will be tall because the information is for tallness. If you consider this gene here, this is a segment of DNA, on the homologous chromosome, this will control the color of the flower. But in this case, in the maternal chromosome, the gene has information for pink flowers. But in the paternal copy, the information on the gene is for white flowers. So here the information of color of flower on the two chromosomes is different. According to this, the feature seen, the character seen, the trait, the color of flower in progeny will be affected. So progeny will have either pink flowers or white flowers. That depends on which of this trait is dominant. So we come to another new term, that is dominant trait. Dominant trait is a trait that is more common in a population. Let us consider the Indian population. If you look at most of the Indians, then we have black color hair. So black hair, which is common in the population, becomes a dominant trait. But if you see the Europeans, then you will find that they don't have black hair like the Indians. They have the blonde color, the golden color. So there that color becomes dominant and black color becomes recessive. Similarly, Negroes, you will find that their skin color is black. So there among that population, black becomes a dominant trait. Whereas among the European, that is called as a recessive trait. So you have to understand that pink and white color of the flower is the information for the color of the flower on both the genes, which is different. So the color of the flower in the progeny will depend on which of this is dominant. It is found that in pea plants, the pink color is dominant. So in such a case, the flowers of the pea plant will be pink. Another gene on this homologous chromosome is going to control the type of the seed. In pea plants, we have two types of seeds. Either they are round, they are smooth coating, or the coating could be rough. That is what we call it the wrinkled seeds. So you will again notice that the information on this homologous chromosome for the type of seed is different. So the type of seed that is seen in progeny will depend on which is dominant, unlike in this case where the information on the pair of gene was identical. So here the progeny will be tall. But in this case, you will see the information on the pair of gene is different. The type of seed in the progeny will depend on which is dominant trait, and it is found that the round seeds with a smooth coating is a dominant trait. So I have told that dominant traits are common in a population, and since they are present, they will always be expressed. What I mean to say by that is, here we have said that the information is different on the genes. On one gene it is for round, other gene it is wrinkled. So since the round, which is dominant trait, is present, the type of seed in the progeny will be round. So this is the trait that will be expressed irrespective of what is present on the other gene. So this feature is not seen in the progeny. Such a feature that is not seen in the progeny in the presence of a dominant trait is called as a recessive trait. As a result, this trait will be less in a population. Similarly, if the information for the color of the flowers in the pea plant are different, it is pink and white, and pink is dominant, then all the flowers in the plant will be pink, although they have inherited the information for white flowers. Now this is what we see. So we have seen that the plant is tall. This is what is called as phenotype. So what is seen, the character seen is what we call as the phenotype. But what is present, the information, the genetic information on the gene, it is for both tallness. That is what we call as the genotype. So another new term that you are going to come across in this chapter is genotype. Genotype means genetic combination. So if both the genes have information for tallness, then that is dominant, then we write it with capital T, and that is what we call as genotype. If the dominant trait is present, then we call that as the feature seen, which is tallness, and that becomes phenotype. But suppose the genetic combination was one for tallness and the other for shortness. So short trait I will write with small t. So alphabet is same because we are considering the same trait, that is height. So alphabet will be T. We will choose the capital letter for the dominant trait, and for the recessive trait, which is shortness, we will choose small t. This is what we call as the genetic combination, which is genotype. But irrespective of whether the recessive trait is present or not, once the dominant trait is present in the progeny, it will be tall. This is the character seen in the plant, which we call as phenotype. So recessive traits will not be expressed when there is a dominant trait. So for the plant to be short, the genetic combination has to be both small t's. That means on both the genes, there has to be information for shortness. Then only we will see that the plant is short. Such a trait which is not expressed in the presence of dominant trait is what is called as a recessive trait, and it is always inherited in identical pairs. Now we have already mentioned in the chapter of how do organisms reproduce that sexually reproducing organisms will have more variations because there are two parents involved, and these two parents will have accumulated variations. So in the progeny you will have more variations, and variations will give better chances of survival. So in highly complex organism, the mode of reproduction is sexual. In asexual reproducing organism, only one individual is involved, so there is less variation, and therefore chances of survival are less, and therefore asexual reproduction is seen in primitive organisms. The variations will accumulate over a period of time, and that will give a better chance to survive, and that in turn will cause a new feature, give rise to speciation, and that is going to give rise to new type of organism, which is called as evolution. So in evolution, we are studying about formation of new species, that is generation of diversity, and certain species are selected by nature, and that is what we call as natural selection. According to Charles Darwin, those species which are better adapted to the changing ecosystem will survive, and his theory was the survival of the fittest. He's explaining how evolution takes place.